When does treatment become control? These 10 images answer without words. You'll see rooms wired for current, beds built like cages, and dorms stacked to the ceiling. We're not here to sensationalize. We're here to show the tools. Each segment isolates a method: electrical, surgical, physical, environmental, so you can trace how order was kept and freedom was traded away. Watch closely. The photos reveal the policy behind the practice. Number 1 surgery is silence. A clean tray, a dull window, and a chair that doesn't look like punishment. This is the lobotomy room at Trans-Allegheny. The setup feels calm, almost routine, which is the point. The suite sold therapy but delivered control at the root. Frontal lobotomy rose in mid-century America to manage agitation and psychosis, presented as a fix for wards under strain. The room's details tell the story. Restraints at the armrests, sterile tools lined in order, and wall charts that turned hazard into policy. Outcomes varied sharply. Some patients grew quiet and compliant. Others showed deep blunting, flat affect, and lost initiative. Speed soon drove a shift from surgical cuts to transorbital methods pushed through the eye socket. Simple tools, short sessions, predictable schedule. So the photo reads as medicine, yet the design standardizes obedience in white coats. The blade could quiet one person. Cages managed many at once. Number 2, human aviaries. This image captures an open ward with no freedom. Wire runs floor to ceiling, forming small pens inside a shared room. You see beds, blankets, and a grid that never lets up. Staff could watch every move, but patients had nowhere to move. Cage beds and standing cages kept people from eloping, self-harming, or fighting. They appealed in crowded halls where staffing lagged behind admissions, a blunt answer to too many bodies and too few hands. The design follows an industrial mind. Devices turned people into predictable units, like parts on a line, easy to count and easy to still. Reformers later called these cages dehumanizing, arguing they stripped dignity and fed despair, and their push helped end the practice. From a distance, an open ward looked humane. Up close, the mesh was the true wall. When a cage was not enough, cloth and locks did the work. Number 3, wrapped stillness. A padded door, a small window, and fabric sleeves crossed tight. The cell at Willard shows a rule dressed as care. The jacket sits like a uniform, and the room finishes the sentence. Straitjackets here were canvas or heavy cloth. Sleeves crossed and fixed behind the back. Straps locked the torso, chest, and waist. Staff placed restrained patients alone to cut noise, contact, and triggers. Manuals listed reasons and advised checks, but thin crews stretched time. The cell reduced labor and risk in halls that ran short on hands. The costs were real. Skin broke at seams and buckles. Circulation slowed in bent arms. Long stillness strained joints and fed dread, a known mental toll. Over time, some states narrowed use and then banned it as rights rules grew. What looks like a garment becomes a room-sized rule. Do not move, do not speak, do not resist. If one body could be held still, entire dorms could be held in place. Number 4, beds like barracks. Rows of iron beds sit inches apart, running to a vanishing point. The room feels orderly, but each cot steals a life into a slot. Blackwell's Island Asylum shows how density becomes rule. Grouping lowered some risks, but erased privacy and identity. Overcrowding rose as admissions outpaced funds, and contagion fears shaped strict rows, windows open, bedding aired, personal items pared down. Night watch ran like a patrol. One attendant could scan aisles, count bodies, and move fast when a shout cut through the dark. The plan clashed with the Kirkbride ideal of light, space, and calm. Municipal halls trimmed that promise into cheap square footage. Reports noted thin staff-to-patient ratios, and a shift from cure to storage. No locks needed when the herd is pressed tight. The layout trains sleep, speech, and movement. By day, discipline moved from spacing to current. Number 5. Order by amperage. A metal cart waits. A rubber bite block sits by coiled electrodes. The chamber at Pilgrim State looks tidy, almost calm. ECT here was sold as a reset switch, but it felt like a seizure on command. Staff prepped with brief checks, cleared airways, and set the dial. Current passed. Bodies stiffened, then slackened. Post-care meant observation, notes, and a return to the ward on schedule. Mass rosters shaped the day. Rows of names, times in columns. Carts rolled room to room like a small factory. Claims split by diagnosis. Promised lift for deep lows, unclear gains for tangled thoughts, while the public feared memory loss and harm. Anesthesia and muscle relaxants moved in to cut fractures, and the rhythm got smoother, faster, repeatable. These rooms did more than treat. They synchronized bodies to the facility's clock. The current fell on adults. The straps reached children. Number 6. Small bodies, big straps. A tiny bed holds leather cuffs that fit a wrist the size of a plum. The photo from Penhurst State School shows restraint scaled down, not softened. The hardware sits at the edge of a blanket, waiting like a rule. Children labeled unteachable met straps meant for adults, trimmed for small bones. Cuffs at the wrists and ankles, web belts at the waist, short tethers to the frame. Staff cited self-injury and elopement. In crowded wards with thin crews, restraints became routine, fast, and easy to audit. Later investigations documented harm and rights violations, and they pushed policy toward behavioral supports and room design that prevent triggers. Teams learned to change lighting, noise, and schedules, and to teach skills rather than tie them down. When care is measured in head counts, straps speak faster than staff. Water was called moral. The bindings made it rule. Number 7. Clean hands, bound bodies. A tiled room, warm steam, and belts fixed to a chair. Bloomingdale Asylum displayed moral therapy as order with clean edges. The chair sits under a shower head, straps set to outlast struggle, while water frames it as care. Hydrotherapy promised calm, but the bindings kept bodies still before warmth arrived. Staff used continuous baths, showers, and wet packs to dull agitation. Timers, charts, and scheduled rounds tied treatment to compliance like a stage cue calling quiet. Nurse logs tracked minutes and temperatures. Valves set water within narrow bands, seeking soothe, not shock. Reports listed softer tone and fewer outbursts, but risks sat near. Hypothermia in long sessions, skin breakdown where fabric kept heat and moisture trapped. What read as comfort functioned as compliance, 1 hour at a time. When inside methods failed, the answer moved outdoors. Number 8. Air for the unfree. Sun hits wire mesh. A bench sits bolted to earth. This is the outdoor patient cage at the Toronto Lunatic Asylum, a garden turned into a pen. Fresh air was called a cure, but freedom stopped at the hatch. Doors latched from the outside, and the roofed mesh kept bodies in while light washed over faces. Staff used these pens to grant sun and air while preventing escape. The idea borrowed from health beliefs that air and sun could steady nerves, akin to open porches used in TB care. Order moved outdoors, where noise thinned and watchers could scan without crowding. The logic felt neat. Reduce ward chaos by exporting it to a fenced lawn. Then came public criticism, and the cages phased out as standards shifted toward dignity. Nature was part of the treatment. The fence was part of the plan. In prisons, the pen had fewer euphemisms. Number 9. Punishment by design. Bunks stack in a frostbitten hall. Rules live in routine. The punishment barracks at Colima turned sleep into ration and rest into test. Control moves through labor, cold, and hunger, but the building seals it. Windows leak air. Floors creak on purpose. Guards see rows at a glance, and the bell cuts nights short, so dawn work hits harder. Discipline lands fast. Miss a quota and you meet the corner box, an isolation crate within the room, tight, dark, and unheated. Lights stay on low, footsteps pass often, and whispers carry, so no mind fully drifts. This is carceral design. Break will by collapsing comfort. Thin blankets, fixed bunks, set wake-ups. Memoirs and later studies describe space used like a tool, less device, more plan. No straps needed when the room itself drains resistance. One more chamber remains. The cell built for nothing but silence. Number 10. Silence as sentence. A steel door closes, and the light goes with it. Dark solitary at Alcatraz sits past D-Block like a final step, where space is reduced to a rectangle and time is stripped of markers. Sensory deprivation turns minutes into pressure. The cell allows a sliver of light at best, with a thin mattress by night and the floor by day, and food cut to the bare minimum. The point is simple. Break defiance, enforce compliance, return a quieter body to the range. Research on isolation shows anxiety, disorientation, and quick submission after release. Administrators use that arc as leverage, pairing short stays with strict rulebooks, so a misstep turned into a lesson written on nerves, not paper. If this record matters to you, be sure to subscribe and share. Ask for care that proves it is care by design. Push for standards that guard rights, fund real staffing, and measure dignity, not just order.